All right, y'all, it's Khalil the Mechanic back with another video. Today, I'm going to be showing you how to properly heat, shrink, and install window tint on a windshield. This works for front and back windshields. Of course, some windshields have a couple different steps that you may need to take, but overall, this will work for pretty much every front and back windshield you do. So, first thing I'm gonna do here is, of course, clean it off. There we go. So, give that a quick wipe down. This is just to get any dirt and debris off the windshield, because while we're shrinking, you don't want to risk, creasing the tint, because if you crease it, it will leave an air bubble or a blemish, and you will have to restart. Give it a couple seconds, let it air dry, because what I'm gonna use next is some baby powder. This baby powder is a game changer. So when I go to lay the tint on here and shrink it from the outside, it's gonna have a bunch of fingers on it. And we want these fingers to move around nice and smooth so that it makes the shrinking process a lot easier. So it's still a little wet up here, so I'm gonna walk away for a second and come back. So the windshield is nice and dry now. I'm gonna sprinkle some baby powder over it to spread it out. And then just gonna spread it out nice and even. Just do that. And then we have our dryer sheet here. We're just gonna wipe it off. So the dryer sheet is not necessary, nor is the baby powder, but it makes life a whole lot easier. I'm gonna cut us out a bulk piece of 35%. And while doing this, you want the release liner to be on the outside facing you. So So, just want to make sure we got the whole windshield covered, which we do in this case, and we're going to trim off all of the excess. So, all right, so we have the bulk tint laid out. Now it's time to create our H pattern. So, you can use the same rag that you prep the windshield with, that you clean it off with. Just gonna spray it up a little more, get it nice and wet. And I'm gonna lift one side up and let's go half up. Okay, that's in the way. All right, lift this up about halfway. Just go just like that. And then lay it back down. We want it to be nice and flat. And then we're gonna do the same vertically. Just like that, just like that. So what that just did there, it pushed all the fingers to the bottom. So some cars this may not work for, but you should have a flat surface here on the side. And we're gonna do the same for the other side. I'm gonna do the same thing, the other half, and vertical. And then come back and lay it all down. And from this point, we should have no bubbles across the middle and none across the side. So I'm gonna do one side in fast motion, and I'm gonna do one side in thorough slow motion. Not necessarily slow motion, but more thoroughly explained. So this part here is where people start to screw up and make mistakes. You can't just heat it up and start to squeegee down and push out. You have to know what you're shrinking, how much you're shrinking, what direction to shrink, things like that. So what I like to use is this felt card from Detroit Studio. It comes from mytintstuff.com. It doesn't have to be this. You can use whatever works best for you, but I like this because when you push on the tint, it will not crease because it's so soft. It can crease, but it's a very low chance that it will crease. Secondly, we want our heat gun on full blast, so I have it all the way on 7. I'm gonna turn it all the way up. So being that you can see those bubbles on that side, I'm gonna thoroughly show you that side. And I'm gonna speed through this side. Most vehicles I like to start from the outside and work in, but stuff like SUVs, like this for example, it has a rear wiper in the back. I usually start in the middle and work my way to the outside. As you can see up here at the top, we got a bunch of fingers here, and they obviously won't go away. So it is important that we shrink up and down. You'll never see me use the heat gun and go to the left or right, always up and down. So what you want to do is look for that squiggly motion with the tint, because a lot of people don't know how much to shrink, how little to shrink. So kind of just working a left and right motion, and you see how it squiggles. Even though I'm not squeegeeing out, this is pretty much like all of this here is shrink. Up here where you still see that finger, that's not shrinking enough. So you hit it again, and now this whole area is pretty much shrink, so it should just stay out, or the bubbles should stay going. And you see how when I squeegee, the fingers move over? That's where the baby powder comes into play, because if you have too much moisture, it will stick and it'll make it harder for you to shrink. So it should be that easy. You see, even when I go over fingers, it won't crease because this is so soft. Like, it's just that simple. So now let's move over to the other side. We're gonna do the same thing, a slow left and right motion, and squeegee up. So I'm gonna try and stand out of the way. So see, just like that. And then right up to about here is where I'm done, because now it's another finger. So again, so at this point, we've done enough shrinking, but it's still gonna require a little more, but we don't know how much more shrinking. So this is the part where we do a wet check. What I'm gonna do is spray the top and bottom of the tint and squeegee it all out, all the water out, as if I was installing it. And wherever we have bubbles left over, that area needs more shrinking. So spray it all up. Get under it. Spray it all up. Now the reason that I spray the outside is so that when I do hit it with the squeegee, it doesn't crease it. But if you are comfortable enough, you do not have to spray the top. Just like that. And what I like to do here, this is a quick up and down to get most of the bubbles out. Start somewhere in the middle, come over, get all the way across. It's almost like an H pattern. Do that, and then just squeegee out. And areas like down here where you see this finger pop up, that area is not shrinking enough. And just like that, that windshield looks almost perfect. We have a finger here, another one here, tiny one here, another one may pop up, but that's our wet check. Basically checking to see how much you've shrunk it. Now, I'm gonna pull the truck back inside, use our flashlight, and cut the pattern out. All right, so this here is the super easy part. Stick your flashlight in there and cut about 1/8 of an inch past the perimeter, or dot matrix, as we say. And if it's not perfect, that's okay. And just like that, we've cut out our pattern. And you live in a state like me in New York, I like to cut a box out for the inspection and registration sticker. Now we have our 100% official pattern. Now the only thing that's left to do on the outside is our final shrink to get the rest of these little tiny fingers out. It's the same as getting big fingers out, so I'm just gonna speed through this process. Bless me. Bless me. So, it's only gonna take a couple seconds. They usually just need a little tiny bit of heat. Some may take a little more than others, but nothing too crazy. I like to use this little pink squeegee. This is made of rubber because it gives a nice push, and at this point you really don't have to worry about any creasing because the big shrinking is done. So that's that. I'll also drop a link in the description for this because this is my favorite. I use this for prep, install, shrink, you name it. All right, next we're gonna remove any stickers. Like next time she returns to the dealership, we're gonna remove that. This should just come right off because I took it off before when tinting the windshield, and I'm re-tinting it now because she had a cracked windshield, so I had to get it replaced. So this has been removed at least twice, so that's not a problem. Trying to just see if we can get it to stay there. And for this step, we're gonna need our, I forget what this thing is called. It's called the scrubber. We're gonna put one of those Velcro white scrubby pads on there. They're sweet because they get a lot of dirt and debris out and they do not scratch glass. Start off with just a light mist on the inside. Nothing too crazy. I got our white scrubby pad. I'll also drop a link in the description for it. And this is sweet for cars like, say, Volkswagens and stuff that have really deep dash panels or whatever you want to call it. You get all the way down there in the grooves. But you just want to scrub everything, the whole surface, get everything around the stickers, especially because here in New York, stickers are removed every 1 and 2 years. So there's usually a lot of sticky stuff left over around that area. So definitely want to keep that in mind. Even scrub past the dot matrix a little bit, just because there can be anything up there that will get trapped under the tint and compromise a perfect outcome. Scrub, scrub, scrub. And then what I like to do, I'll rip this off and then go around with my bare hand and just feel for any bumps or debris, which it shouldn't be much because this is a brand new windshield. But you never know. Even if the car is brand new off the lot, you still have to clean. All right, so I've went over it and I feel absolutely no bumps, so that's cool. Now, this is the important part. I go around any perimeter of the windshield and I just wipe it with the clean rag, all the plastic trim up here, plastic trim around here, the mirror, and the other side, of course. Now, the reason we do that is because upon install, we want to be sure that the tint touches nothing but the glass itself, because there's all types of hair, dirt, and debris and stuff that's stuck to these plastic pieces. But us wiping it down reduces the chance of it being on the tint because it's all on the rag. And chances are, while installing, your tint is gonna touch one of these panels somewhere. This is a big piece of window, big piece of tint. It's kind of hard to manage. But we just go around the perimeter, one side to the other, wipe clean after every pass. This is getting any invisible dirt and debris away that we can't see. Now, depending on how dirty the windshield is or how dirty the whole car is, that is for you to determine. I'll do this usually 2 times, sometimes 3. If it's, say, a windshield tint removal and reinstall, I may even do it 4 times just because, you know, all that glue and stuff can be pretty much anywhere. I like to get these little tiny streaks that the squeegee left behind too. Then just come and bring it up to the top. Just give it another light mist. Just like that. Start from the top again, because any dirt and debris, because of gravity, is going to fall to the bottom. So while the water is slightly dripping down, you want to start at the top, because if you say start from the bottom, stuff up here is going to sink to the bottom if it's anything left. So definitely start at the top. All right, so when it comes to peeling the release liner, I'll usually pick this corner because I have to cut out here, so it's easier to pick up. And I'll just wet it a bit so that it doesn't lift on me, while I'm trying to peel it back. And you're just gonna grind it together with your teeth and get it to peel up. Not too hard, because if you do it too hard, you will crease the tint. Just peel it back just like that. And spray as you peel back so that it tries to stay down. Then what I'll do, lay it back down. Now you see I only went halfway across. Now what I'm gonna do is pick it up here and peel back like that, and it should bring it all the way up over on that side. Then we're just gonna wipe this off, because again, we just brought all of our dirt and debris from the passenger side to the driver's side. So chances are we just stuck it on there. So just in case we get it one more wipe down. And now I'm gonna go ahead and go on the outside and peel our liner back. Just pull and peels the whole side up. That way you don't have to go to all four corners and put the damn tint in your mouth. And then we'll do the same for the other side. I'm gonna peel it this way, and it's gonna give us the top. So now that that's done, I'm gonna go ahead and hang my water source in the car so that it's ready for me. And then I'm gonna roll it up from passenger side to driver side. Now you don't have to do passenger to driver, you can do driver to passenger. I'm right-handed, but I like to start on the left side of the car. So whatever side you start to roll up on, you're gonna finish rolling over here, and then you're gonna start installing over here and finish rolling over here. So wherever you start to roll, you're gonna start installing on the opposite side. So keep that in mind. Want to roll it up as straight as possible, not curved or any, or not curved, but slanted. So just get our finger up under there, make a nice tight roll. Too far, just pull it up and finish rolling it. Okay, so here's the important part. This is our final install. This is where we want to make sure we stay as clean as possible. So if you have to, spray your fingers down first to make sure there's nothing on it. And that's pretty much it. Let's get started. So I like to spray half of the windshield, install half, and then while I'm doing it, I'll spray the other half and then install the rest. So there can always, from setting this down, there could be debris or anything on here. I like to spray the ground first, or the air. Give it a few sprays in the air, and then just a nice fine mist across about half of the windshield. I'm gonna take this, get it in position, and start to peel our liner back just a little. It's okay to touch it a little, just like that. And with the back side of my hand, I'm gonna go ahead and get it in position. Try not to touch these side pillars or the fabric up top. You may have to unroll it just a bit. And you hear that? It just touched the side, but because we wiped it clean, it's gonna reduce our chances of having contamination. And As you get further and further across the windshield, it'll get easier to handle. And while this may seem hard to do, because it definitely was difficult in the beginning for me, it's just time and practice that'll get you right. I'm gonna curve this up a bit just to get it behind that trim. Let's move it over a bit and down a bit. Now that we're halfway, get the sprayer, spray the air again, and I'm gonna spray the rest of the windshield. We're gonna rotate the mirror that way, lift this up a bit, get the tint up in there, and then as you can see, as I get to the end, you just kind of pull, and right when you get over here, pull it off, and you want to kind of curl it up in there to, oops. Curl it. That way we don't touch that side pillar. And push any air bubbles out. And once you've gotten to this point, it's just up from here. So now we're gonna position it to, oh wait, uh-oh. Just gonna get a tiny hard card and just kind of pry in there a bit. And that way, now it's slid in there perfect. You wanna look around, make sure you have no light gaps. Check to make sure your stickers are in the right place, like you don't have the tint laying on the sticker. And then give it one more light mist, just that way when we slide our squeegee across, we don't shift it or crease. I like to just start in the middle, go down, come over this way, and it's cake from here. Come up here. For these like rounder areas that come up like that, I usually like to go straight up, get it locked in, and then start to move over, just like that. Be careful around your stickers because you don't want to damage them. One more light mist. Gonna come through with my favorite orange crush squeegee and just do overlapping passes to get any of the water that we missed out. Just work from left to right, as far down as you can go. Some cars, the orange crush squeegee, you'll be able to get all the way to the bottom. Some cars you'll have to come back with that side swiper again. And once you get to this point where it's pretty much all installed, it's not really as critical what direction you squeegee in because it's pretty much not gonna move anymore. And it's that simple. And I like to be a little careful around the stickers and stuff, so I saved that part for last. And then I usually come around with my pink squeegee and correct these little small areas in the corner. Find it easier to actually stand on the outside of the vehicle and work this way, because you can actually see what you're doing. And just like that, you've tinted a full windshield. And now, just want to wipe all the excess water up down here. And one thing I just thought about, I forgot to do, I like to go around again at the bottom and just make sure it's all locked in. There. Now you do want to be careful when you wipe and clean because it is still wet, so there is a chance you may shift the tint around a bit if you wipe too hard or catch a corner. So just keep that in mind. We're gonna go outside and clean the exterior as well. Clean all the plastic panels off. And then for situations like this with these remote starters or whatever a customer may have hanging, always like to tell them stick it back on the next day just so that the weight of it doesn't pull the tint off. And there you have it. And coming from a customer perspective, you can't really see how perfect a windshield is as far as contamination until it's fully dry, unless you just have like huge clumps and stuff. Like actually, I got one thing right here. I'm kind of pissed about it. One thing right there. But as far as from a tinter's perspective, we can see or feel your hand around for bumps and stuff, and you'll know how much contamination you have under the windshield. Another thing I see people go through, they get fingers on the side right here. What I like to do is hit it with just a tiny bit of heat and just push it that way. Although you're not supposed to shrink sideways, once you're in a final install, it usually doesn't hurt. So that is completely okay. I'm gonna stick this back on anyways. All right, so yeah, I stuck it back on because it's okay. But other than that, you clean up after yourself and make sure you like and subscribe. And let's pull this thing outside. I'm gonna show you the final outcome. All right, so this is the outcome, or this is the final outcome outside. Her sticker there looks a little weak because, like I said before, the windshield was replaced, so it was barely hanging on there. But I'm gonna have her put some tape on tomorrow. But that is our 35% windshield. Pretty and perfect.